Hello, hello, and welcome to another fantabulous Rich Alvarez live stream. I'm Rich Alvarez, and I'm joined by...
his roommate, Brandon.
Hello, it's me. Oh, it's very dark in this room, I just realized, even with all the lights on. I think all the light is behind me, and so I'm not getting a whole light. I have smaller lights that I could put in front of me. Well, you know what? I'll know that for next time. For now, please enjoy this very temporary Rich Alvarez show situation. Yes, I know that I do the Rich Alvarez show very sporadically. It's like once a month, if that, and I keep promising I'm going to try to do it once or twice a week, and it never happens because I haven't really had a set or anything that I like. And most of the time I've been doing this, you've been just hearing my voice, and I'd really prefer it if you could see my face. But I would like you to see my face without just like a Warcraft temp table and a game table behind me. But you know what? That's what we got. That's what we're getting. So, that's fine for now. We'll figure it out later. But anyways, welcome to the Rich Alvarez Show. And today we're going to be talking about a lot of things. I've called this the Marvel Phase 4 update because we are going to be talking about that first. But we probably will cover other things like, what's going on with Star Wars and what's going on with anything else. But right now we're going to start with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Hello, we got AK, we got Kid Rhino, we got Dan Erickson, we got Alex VC, and it says we got 10 other people showing up. So welcome. It's kind of like a free. I wouldn't call this a free for all Q&A, but it's kind of like that. Anyways, so Johnny TH is here. Supremacy Mecha Hunter's here. Wow, welcome guys. So starting with Marvel. So what do we have? We didn't have any Marvel stuff for 2 years or something, and then we finally started off the year with WandaVision, and then we had Falcon and Winter Soldier and Loki, and now we have the Black Widow movie. So before I begin a huge rant about those things, Brandon, do you have anything you'd like to add about that? I know that you and me were watching WandaVision together, and that was like a big highlight at the beginning of the year.
I don't have a lot to add to it. I mean, I thought WandaVision was amazing, even though I wasn't interested in Wanda at all during the previous MCU before that, and now I'm a huge fan just because that show was so goddamn good. Yeah. But I haven't even watched Loki because I'm stuck watching Star Trek.
You're still watching Star Trek.
I mean, I'm in pure bliss.
Brandon is catching up on Star Trek Discovery, and Star Trek is another thing we'll cover a little bit later in the show, so I'm sure Brandon will have plenty to say on that as well. But yeah, WandaVision was a great start to Phase 4. It was awesome. I loved, at first I was really mad at Disney Plus because I'm like, oh, why can't they just do Netflix and upload the entire season in a day? But it's really interesting when you think about something like WandaVision, because I don't think WandaVision would have been as good if we just binged it. I think that show really, it really adhered to the mystery week by week. Yeah. And, all of the theories and everything, and everybody thought Mephisto was going to show up, and, that didn't happen. So that was really good. I enjoyed...
No, I think
you're right. Yeah. I enjoyed Falcon and Winter Soldier, but it wasn't as good. And I feel like at this stage in the Marvel Universe, I am much more interested in the fantasy and magic side of things than I am in the more grounded real stuff. It's not that the Falcon and Winter Soldier was bad, it was very good. It just wasn't as good as WandaVision. And my favorite show by far has been Loki. Loki was absolutely fantastic. No spoilers, because I know a lot of you haven't seen it, including Brandon.
Me.
Right, but it was amazing and is definitely a must. Even if you're not a big Marvel fan, I would say watch it because it's just a great show. We got Paul Unifray and Knife Stalker in here as well now, and Redfield. Welcome, guys. Isaac Rocks is here. Everybody, welcome to the stream. Still welcoming people because we're very early in the stream. Loki was very good. It makes me very excited. But there has been kind of a small sore in the middle of Phase 4 so far, and that has been Black Widow. Now, just for the record, I enjoyed Black Widow. I didn't love Black Widow. And I think the problem is what a lot of critics have been saying, kind of, is that it feels more like a Phase 2 Marvel movie. It feels like it's like not quite as good as, say, like Captain America, the Winter Soldier, but it kind of has a similar feeling. And it would have been more at home in kind of that era, like 5 or 6 years ago. Actually, when the story that they tell, which takes place right after Civil War, I feel like this movie would have been awesome if it came out right after Captain America Civil War when the movie takes place. But as it stands, when we have cool things like WandaVision and Loki, and we're getting excited for upcoming movies like Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and we're getting kind of geared up for this multiversal war, something like Black Widow, it just feels out of place. And as many have said, it feels a little too late. I think it is.
Probably threw it in there because they knew it was going to be such a softball that like they couldn't put it in next to all the like fastballs they're about to throw at us, because then people would be like, "Oh, this is terrible compared to everything else."
Right. And one thing that we should remember is that this movie was supposed to come out in May of 2020.
Which one?
Black Widow. It was supposed to come out in May of 2020, but got delayed due to the pandemic. And it was ready. This movie has been finished for a long time. They could have released it last year if it wasn't for the pandemic, and it would have. That means that we should have gotten Black Widow before WandaVision or Loki or any of this stuff. And I feel like the movie would have hit differently if we had gotten it back then.
Right.
It has the unfortunate problem of now being released now when it feels like we've moved on from like those problems, for lack of better clarification. But I will say that my final thoughts on the movie itself is that it's good. I think it's worth watching. The end credit scene is definitely the most important part in the whole movie, and is the only part of the movie that actually relates to anything going on in Marvel now. But
that's a shame.
Yeah, but it is worth watching. It unfortunately is not it's just not what we want right now. And that, that's not to blame Scarlett Johansson or anything. But it is to blame for Scarlett Johansson. So many of you may have seen that Scarlett Johansson just today filed a lawsuit against Disney. And I think this is really funny. It's kind of sad at the same time. And lawsuits are never fun, but but it is for us because we're not there and we're not part of it. But take it to Judge Judy. Judy. No, it's a serious matter, and we'll probably go to Supreme Court. But, she's suing because of breach of contract. Now, apparently, in Scarlett Johansson's Marvel contract, there's like a clause in there that it's like a really like small detail that, because before the pandemic, who knew that we'd be in a situation where Disney would want to release their theatrical films on a streaming service on the same day. So, back when the movie was being made and her contract hadn't changed, it was like, who knew that this was going to happen? Basically, in her contract, it states that there must be at least a 45-day theatrical window for movies that she appears in as Black Widow. But as we know, they released Black Widow on Disney Plus Premier Access on day one. So there's breach number one. Breach number two is that she's supposed to get profits. She's supposed to get a percentage. It's like 5% since she's the star of the movie. She's supposed to get 5% of the profits made from the theatrical window. However, since clause number one was broken and it went to Disney Plus, and Disney even bragged about how they made $60 million on the first day just on their Premier Access for Disney Plus, she's probably thinking like, wow, not only did you breach clause one, but now I'm not going to get my profits in clause two because of you getting $60 million on the streaming service. So basically, she's suing for loss of profits. It's kind of similar but different to what Peter Jackson did after the Lord of the Rings trilogy. He sued New Line Cinema for profits not earned because he didn't receive his like 5 or 10% of the profits off of Return of the King. That's been settled now, I'm told. It was settled out of court, but this is a very serious thing. Sometimes the financial department either conveniently forgets or does the numbers wrong and forgets about promises made before the movie production began. And in this case, I think that Disney was so eager to get streaming going during the pandemic that they forgot to look back at the contracts to see exactly what they could or could not do. I do think that this is something that will no longer be in contracts going forward because, we could get more pandemics, or the pandemic we have right now could get worse. Or, Disney could look at numbers and realize that, hey, making money on Disney Plus instead of having to share profits with like AMC Theaters and Regal and so on, that makes more money for us. So, there is a chance that, theatrical releases could be going down in popularity and in society, in culture. It'll be more looked at as like, oh, we're going to go to the movies, a fun experience that persons do once every couple years. I feel like theatrical releases are going to be different. And if you know from previous streams I've done, I'm all for things just going to home because I like to watch movies at home. But that's neither here nor there. The point is Scarlett Johansson is pissed. She wants her money. Brandon, thoughts on that? Brandon. I think we lost Brandon.
No. I had muted my mic because I had to make noise. I was sitting here babbling to myself there for a second.
I was just saying your thoughts on Scarlett Johansson suing Disney.
Oh no, I heard you. I'm more stuck on the fact that Peter Jackson didn't get his 2 cents. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Yeah, that was a problem for a long time.
Yeah, no, but I think you're right. I think the fact that was even able to be in a contract before, that's going to be in the past because I think even if theaters do stick around, the fact that some movies will just go straight to streaming, that I think that's here to stay for sure. I don't know if theaters are going to get kicked to the wayside. Like I don't know. It seems like it's possible. Seems like that's like you said, like they don't have to share money with the theaters, but
I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's going to be up to these movie studios. People like AMC Theaters and Regal, they're like, oh, well, if you're going to go make money on streaming, then give us 10% of what you're making on streaming since you're cutting us out, which I think is ridiculous. You know, that's
what?
Yeah, I mean, literally, companies like Universal Studios and Paramount have agreed to that. They're doing that. So if they release a movie on Paramount Plus or a Peacock or something, they have to give 10% to AMC Theaters because AMC Theaters felt bad that they were missing out on money. It's the dumbest thing in the world.
There's got to be more to it than that. They can't just be like, but we're not making money anymore, so please give us some. And they were just like, oh, we feel so bad.
Well,
we're just gonna give them money. There's
AMC was like threatening that if they released movies on streaming without going to theaters, that they would swear to never show another Universal movie in theaters again. So like they were blackmailing them.
That makes more sense.
But I think that's dumb. Just cut the movie theaters out. Let them go bankrupt. They're yesterday's news.
No, I don't know about that, dude.
All right.
Theaters are pretty sick. I love theaters. I love the theater experience. I am with you on the fact that it's really annoying when people talk in theaters. And if anybody watching this thinks it's okay to talk in theaters, please stop.
Please stop. You've ruined it for me.
You're ruining it for everybody, and especially Richie. So much so that he never wants to go to a theater.
I haven't been to a movie theater since 2019, so I'm good.
Well, it was pretty hard to go last year.
Yeah.
Really
this year hasn't been much better, but anyways, right, let's move on. We've been talking about Marvel for 15 minutes. All right, politics. No, I'm just kidding.
Please no.
Let's talk about Star Wars for a minute. Okay, so in the world of Lucasfilm and Star Wars and everything, we've been anxiously awaiting, more big news. I know The Bad Batch is just a few weeks away from its season finale, and I've actually really been enjoying The Bad Batch. It serves as not just a sequel to the Clone Wars, but also, as we've learned throughout the last few weeks, it's very much serves as a prequel to Rebels, which I very much enjoy. Again, no spoilers, because I don't think Brandon's watched any of that yet either. But
nope.
But man, Bad Batch has been amazing. So, watch that. But anyways, the big Star Wars news that we've got is it was rumored a week ago that they had cast Ezra and Thrawn for the live-action series. So whether that be in the upcoming Ahsoka show, Book of Boba Fett, or Mandalorian Season 3, whatever, Ezra and Thrawn have been cast. And, Ezra was introduced in Star Wars Rebels. He was a main character, and Thrawn's been a character in Legends since the early 90s, but he was introduced in canon in Star Wars Rebels, and now both of them are cast. Ooh, we got a super chat from Pranksta Film says, "Hey Richie, I know this is unrelated to Marvel, but I just rewatched every episode of SMB, Plumber Night, and Stupid Mario World. It was amazing. Might do a video about it soon." Awesome. And you just reminded me, as I said at the beginning, this is kind of a free-for-all conversation, but if you want the conversation to go in a completely different way or want me to answer a question, feel free to super chat. That's what they're there for. Anyways, Star Wars. So Thrawn has been cast. It's going to be, I believe his name is Lars Mikkelsen. It's something Mikkelsen. He's the brother of Mads Mikkelsen.
I was going to say, is he related to Mads? Okay.
Yeah, so of course you guys know Mads Mikkelsen was Jyn Erso's father in Rogue One, and he also was like Hannibal on the Hannibal show, and he was the bad guy in Doctor Strange.
Death Stranding.
Yeah, and main bad guy in Casino Royale. I mean, the guy's been everywhere, but we're not talking about him. We're talking about his brother Lars. So Lars Mikkelsen, or whatever. It's something like Lars. Forgive me. I should have looked this up right before. His brother Lars, or whatever Mikkelsen, is playing the live action version of Thrawn. What makes this so special is that Lars Mikkelsen actually voiced Thrawn in Rebels, and so he's really just
cool.
continuing his role from Rebels, which is cool because Katie Sackhoff, who voiced a character in Rebels, got to play that same character live action in season 2 of Mandalorian.
Is that the chick from
Battlestar Galactica? Yeah,
Battlestar Galactica. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Katie Sackhoff, and
She's great.
Yeah,
I love her.
So it's really cool that we get to see multiple voice actors perform their characters live action. Now, we didn't get, of course, Ashley Eckstein, who voiced Ahsoka in Rebels and in Clone Wars, did not come back to do the live action Ahsoka because, unfortunately, in real life, she doesn't really look like Ahsoka, so we got Rosario Dawson instead. But, speaking of Rosario Dawson, so again, this was rumored that Lars was playing Thrawn. Rosario Dawson just confirmed today that that's true. And she also confirmed that the guy who played Aladdin in the live-action Aladdin is playing the older Ezra in either Ahsoka or Mando Season 3 or whatever. Now, this is kind of funny, at least for me, because when we first started watching Rebels, whenever Rebels started, we would always joke that, like, Ezra was so close to the character of Aladdin. He was kind of like a street drifter, just like living off the land, and he kind of looked like Aladdin. So me and Jax would always joke that we were like, "Hey, it's Aladdin," and we'd always just call him Aladdin. And now the guy who played Aladdin in the movie is playing Ezra, so it's kind of like full circle for me.
That is cool.
So I thought that was funny. Anyway, so I think that's about it. I mean, for Star Wars news. I haven't really heard anything else. The movie
going on
that
with Obi-Wan, dude.
Oh well, I mean Obi-Wan. We keep hearing things. Apparently they're working on it, but we don't have a whole lot of news.
Liam Neeson's still not cast.
Liam Neeson's still not cast, which is a shame. At least if he is cast, he is insane.
Shit. Yeah.
I would love to see Qui-Gon in ghost form. Just talking to Obi-Wan. Yeah, it would be real exciting. Yeah.
Orgasmic.
Man. I mean, they keep talking about how it's possible that and what we say now, we're basically calling this the Mandalorian universe now, which is the Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, the Ahsoka show, and any other shows that are made around that era. There's big rumors, take it with a grain of salt, that they will continue that because it's supposed to be just 5 years after Return of the Jedi. There's big rumors that they will continue, and it may not erase, but place the sequel trilogy in a separate universe, which is interesting. I'm down for whatever. Just more good Star Wars is good.
I'm got my fingers crossed on that one.
Yeah. So, all right. Now, that's all I want to talk about for Star Trek for now. Let's move on to
Star Trek, yeah.
Star Trek. Okay, so Star Trek has had so much going on for it the last few years. We essentially had... for a while, when Enterprise ended, we had like 5 years of nothing until the JJ movie, and then we were getting just a JJ movie every like 3 or 4 years. So there was a dark time in the like mid 2000s to
dark times.
2010s. Where we weren't getting a whole lot of Star Trek. And this is, I mean, when I was growing up, we had back-to-back Star Trek all the time. From the time I was born, basically, it was Next Generation. And then 2 seasons before Next Gen was over, we got Deep Space Nine. And then as soon as Next Gen ended, we got Voyager while Deep Space Nine was still going. And then when Voyager ended, we got Star Trek Enterprise. So we had Star Trek for like 15 years straight. There was always a Star Trek show on television. And then nothing until the JJ movies. And that was just a movie, a 2-hour experience every few years, which it just felt like we weren't getting enough Star Trek. And then in 2017, I think it was 2017, we started getting Star Trek Discovery. And that is what we call New Trek, N-U, New Trek. That's the beginning of what people call New Trek.
Interesting.
And after New Trek, we've had Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek Picard, Star Trek Lower Decks, and now we're getting Strange New Worlds and Prodigy. So next year, we will have 5 Star Trek shows all running at the same time, which is more Star Trek than there's ever been. Which
That's
is
crazy.
Yeah, which is really exciting. I mean,
dope.
imagine, people in the 60s, they got one episode of Star Trek every week for 3 years, and that was it for, decades.
So these shows are going to be actually running at the same exact time.
Yes, yeah.
That is wild.
I mean, yeah, and
But do they release it on? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Do they release it on Paramount like they do on Netflix, where it's just like the whole season, or?
you know what? That's funny because
they
I
release it
just caught
episodically?
up with everything myself, and I don't think so. I think it is weekly.
Okay.
But yeah, we everything is coming to Paramount Plus. So if you're a big Star Trek fan and you don't have Paramount Plus, it's time to get Paramount Plus, because literally all of Star Trek is on Paramount Plus, except for some reason, Star Trek Into Darkness. That's the only piece of Star Trek media that's not on Paramount Plus, and I think that's because they had a previous deal before Paramount Plus decided to create, or before Paramount decided to create Paramount Plus. I think they had a deal with like FX or something, and so you have to get the FX streaming service to get Into Darkness. But I assume when that license is over within a year or something, Into Darkness will then be on Paramount Plus. Doesn't matter. That's the only thing. Everything else, Star Trek is on Paramount Plus.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so Discovery is awesome. But I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to have Brandon talk about it, because I've seen everything. I've seen everything he's seen, but I've also seen more than he's seen. So I'm going to let him talk about it, so I don't actually spoil something. Brandon, what do you think of?
Say, how do I not spoil? I won't spoil it. I think it's amazing. I think I was just telling Richie last night. Like, I think there's certain things about it that I like better than any other Star Trek I've ever seen, which is kind of crazy because it's just not. I don't know. It's so weird with movies like, or giant cinematic universes like Star Wars or Star Trek, because we just have this like bias to the old stuff. It's like, if it's brand new, then it's not as good as the old stuff. But you know what I mean? But it's like, this show is so unbelievably good. The production quality is completely insane. Would you say it was 10 million per episode until you get to season 3? Then it's 15 million per episode.
They spent a lot of money on Star Trek Discovery,
and it shows. You can tell it's absolutely fantastic. I have nothing but good things to say about it.
I think,
but I haven't even finished season 3. I'm on like episode 2.
Oh, nice. But what did you think of the opening of season 3?
Oh yeah. The whole time I was thinking, I was like, oh yeah, Rich is right, because you were like, you're gonna see why there's $5 million more going into these episodes.
Yeah, because it's like, I don't want to spoil anything either, but like, there was a certain format to the first 2 seasons, then you get to season 3 and you're like, whoa, what is this?
Like, holy, yeah. They kick it off real quick.
Yeah, and I told you, as soon as you see it, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like,
yeah.
Whoa, when did JJ do this? No.
Yeah, totally. They definitely took some JJ notes. They do have a lot of lens flare.
Lens flare's there to stay, apparently, in the Star Trek universe. I also love...
In space, there's just lens flare.
There's just lens flare in space. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Cameras are everywhere. I love Star Trek Discovery. To me, nothing will quite replace Next Gen for me, because I love Picard, and especially the combination of Riker, Picard, and Data. That is just... And I think, obviously, there's a lot of nostalgia in there. That's what I grew up with, and I've watched it 1,000 times since. I just love that dynamic. But Brandon is correct. There's a lot of stuff they do on Star Trek Discovery that is some of the best Trek to ever Trek. And I know that you didn't finish it, but also Star Trek Picard. I know that like we were kind of expecting more Next Gen, and it ended up not really being that. But I think that if you have to keep watching, because the show kind of evolves into its own thing, and it does gain steam, and I really like it for what it is. And I think it is a great continuation of at least Jean-Luc Picard, and like his like kind of swan song.
Yeah, I don't know how far I even got, because that was actually a really long time ago when we watched it.
We watched the first 2 episodes together, and
was it just 2 that we watched?
Yeah, was that as far as you got?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there was no spaceships.
No spaceships, but there is a spaceship.
Well, there better be.
All I want to say is that
obvious.
There are cameos that are very significant and are really cool, that have huge stakes.
Because like everybody's still alive.
Yeah.
In real life, like that whole crew. Oh my God, have you seen the Star Trek commercial for the app?
Oh yes, with it's got
It
like
has.
Geordi and Riker and everything
And Data.
and Data.
Yeah. The only one that's not in is Picard, really. That's
Yeah.
like of the male cast.
Like he was busy.
Yeah. Busy being.
But yeah, they're talking about doing a Geordi LaForge show. I know that Michael Dorn is in talks to do a Worf show, and I think they're really close to finalizing a deal on that. So,
Oh, wow. I'd
like,
love to see what he looks like these days.
he looks exactly
well?
the same. He looks great. Michael
true.
Dorn is tall, thin, and
That makes
could
sense.
play Worf, and it would be like no time went by.
That's awesome. Plus, a lot of makeup, too, so.
I like my species the way it is.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So I would love that, but yeah, I mean, yeah, Picard is awesome. Anyway, Strange New World. So, Strange New Worlds they just announced that the first season has finished filming, which is crazy because they just finished filming season 2 of Picard and they just finished filming season 4 of Discovery. So like all of these things are wrapped. In fact, Patrick Stewart said that they're in the middle of filming season 3 of Picard, so they're like getting ahead of schedule.
Jesus.
So like we're getting so much Star Trek, it's crazy. And I can't wait for all of it. If you guys aren't familiar, Strange New Worlds is a show that takes place on the OG 1701 Enterprise, so Kirk's Enterprise, but before Kirk was captain. So it's Captain Pike, but Spock is there. And of course, there's number 1. If you ever saw the original pilot, The Cage, for the original show, it was Pike, number 1, and Spock. So it's kind of like a whole show about that crew, which it's funny because that's the show that Gene Roddenberry wanted to make, and then the studio made him change a bunch of stuff, and then we got what we know of as Star Trek with Kirk, Bones, and Spock, and etc.
An ode to the man.
Yeah. But
That's cool.
yeah, but so we're getting Strange New Worlds is essentially going to be the show that Gene Roddenberry wanted, kind of, because we've got modern writers making it, but it's supposed to be classic AF. And I can't
Okay.
wait. It's going to be like classic Star Trek, but made today. That's the promise they made,
That's awesome.
I'm really,
That's
really looking forward to that.
Super exciting, especially because Captain Pike in the current show is so good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Anson Mount.
perfect.
I was just telling you about, Anson Mount makes a perfect Captain Pike. And this is
That's
a
the
man.
actor's name?
Yeah, Anson Mount. And this is a man who has had a lot of acting roles, and he hasn't really had anything click for him since Hell on Wheels, which was a Western show on AMC a few years ago, which he was great in Hell on Wheels, but then he kind of had some hits and misses in between. But now Pike is like his role. He is Captain Pike now. I can't wait for weekly episodes of him. Killjoy's
he's
here.
awesome.
What's up, Killjoy?
What up, Killjoy?
All right, we have geeked out about Marvel and Star Trek and Star Wars. So we could, I don't think I mentioned this, but we are very excited for Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and everything coming forward. But let's move on.
Okay.
Let's move on. What do you want to talk about now? Want to talk about 40K?
What else is there? No, for like I bet there's not even a single person in chat that gives a rat's ass about 40K.
Oh, you say what else is there? Are we Swan Princessing it now? What else is there?
I don't know what that is, but sure.
That's a real deep cut right there.
From like
Look
1912.
at Carlos Morales says, "Did you hear about Scarlett Johansson suing Disney over Black Widow streaming on Disney Plus?"
we can
My
talk
dude,
about that, dude.
my dude, that was the first 10 minutes of this stream. Anyways, so who would like to? Hey, Killjoy, AK. Anybody want to sway the conversation in a different way? What's happening? What's new? Do you want to talk about Konami's secret project that may be a Metal Gear game? Like what?
Oh my God! Let's totally talk about that.
You heard
How the
about
hell
that,
was
right?
Not the first thing we talk about.
So apparently Konami has been trying to be Hideo without Hideo, and they've been doing this weird secret marketing thing where they're talking about, what is it called, Abandoned? Is that what they're calling the game?
Yeah.
And there's been all this weird marketing, and we're supposed to get a trailer for this game on August 10th. So we'll be right here on August 10th to talk about that. But there's a huge industry rumor that this is secretly a Metal Gear game. Now understand that Hideo Kojima, the creator of Metal Gear, is no longer at Konami. So this would be a game without him. And the last time that Konami tried to make a Metal Gear game without Hideo was Metal Gear Survive, and that was no good. So, but based on this weird marketing campaign, if this does end up being a Metal Gear game, I have a feeling they're trying to make it better. You know,
Then
obviously,
Survive, yeah.
then Survive, of course. And try to kind of go back to the roots. However, it is very interesting that they're doing this just a couple months after they gave the Metal Gear license to Sony, which suggests that if this is a Metal Gear game, that this will be a sequel, and then it will cement that what Sony is doing is a remake of Metal Gear Solid, is what I think. But hey, we don't know, you know. What are your thoughts, Brandon?
AK says Erg Metal Gear Merg.
Like,
What does
Metal
Erg
Gear.
mean? Oh, okay, got it.
Trying to do Julian's snake impression.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess it's important to tell people, if you don't know anything about this, or if you're even mildly interested in Metal Gear, the reason why anybody would do it this way, which is make up a fake studio and say that that studio is making a game named something else, and then it turns out that that game is actually Metal Gear by the original studio that makes Metal Gear, is because that's what Hideo Kojima's done before,
Right.
and people love his weird, I don't know if they love it, but he does it anyway. He does these weird antics with his Metal Gear releases. So it would seem that that's why they're doing it, which is super weird, because it's like
Right.
they're just like taking a page out of his notes and like, well, he had tons of success with it, but it's like, it's not him. I don't know. It feels so awkward to me. It's like, what are you guys doing? You know what would be the ultimate reveal? Is they're like, we hired Hideo Kojima to make this game. That would be, I think, I would like fall out of my chair.
Yeah, but I don't think they would do that at this point, but that would be cool.
I know. I'm just being hopeful.
But I don't know. With Metal Gear Solid 5 was divisive, to say the least, amongst fans, as far as I'm concerned. I enjoy Metal Gear Solid 5. The gameplay, the story is whack. I don't know, man. I would like the next game to go back to like Metal Gear Solid 4 style, like in the chapters with the missions, but like cemented by an excellent like Hollywood style story, you know? Because that's that's Metal Gear to me. But you know, I don't know. We'll see. I'm very skeptical about this whole thing, but I guess we'll know on August 10th. Well, at least we'll know more. Unless they continue to keep fooling us. Because remember, Phantom Pain was by Moby Dick Studios for a while before Hideo finally owned up to it being Metal Gear.
So weird.
Yeah. Let's see. Knife Stalker's talking about Oscar Isaac as Snake for the upcoming Metal Gear movie.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's exciting. Hopefully that doesn't suck.
I'm super worried about it, only because I guess we're at this point we're lucky to get a Metal Gear movie at all, but like I'm super skeptical about it because I like Oscar Isaac, but I would have preferred them start at the beginning where Snake is like a young recruit into Foxhound and he's like a rookie, and I feel like Oscar Isaac is too old to play that Snake, so it makes me feel like they are going to do more of the Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Solid 2 kind of era. Of course, they're saying that they're doing their own story too, so who knows what we're getting.
Yeah. It's gonna rely on that script. I'm assuming it'll have plenty of funding, so like if they wanted to do an entire set of Shadow Moses, they could probably do it with the money that they probably have. It's just a matter of like, how do you film it, and how good is that script to give it that Metal Gear feel? I don't know.
Right.
It's going to be rough. That's going to be really, really tough.
Dan Erickson wants us to talk about the Jungle Cruise film.
Is that the one with The Rock?
Yeah, it comes out tomorrow.
I have no idea.
I like the Jungle Cruise ride at Disneyland. But I never was sitting on the Jungle Cruise ride like listening to the cheesy jokes from the skipper and being like, man, this would be a great movie. But of course, to be fair, I never was like before Pirates of the Caribbean, I never thought that would have been a good movie either, but then the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie was awesome and the sequels are okay. But they've made more bad movies based on Disney rides than good movies. Like Haunted Mansion was a terrible movie. The Tower of Terror movie in the 90s was okay. And there's a few others I'm forgetting. But yeah, Jungle Cruise, I mean, I saw a good review for it where they're like, it's like the best parts of Brendan Fraser's Mummy combined with the best parts of Indiana Jones. It's like, okay, so action and adventure. But then I also saw the review by The Guardian where they gave it 2 out of 5 stars, So, I guess I'll just have to make my own mind about it. We have a super chat from Carlos Morales who says, Metal Gear with next-gen graphics. Yeah. So, well, I don't think that's what Konami would be doing, because Konami could just, again, when you do a remake, since the script is already there, the gameplay is basically already there, most people would just outsource a remake to a third party, unless you're Square and you remake a game from scratch, like Final Fantasy VII. Usually remakes are outsourced. So I believe, in my opinion, that's what Konami's done with Sony, where they've outsourced Sony to do a Metal Gear Solid remake. But this game might be an entirely new Metal Gear game from Konami. That's what I think, anyway.
I would assume so as well. Maybe, mostly because that's what I want.
Crazy Henna says, I like the Haunted Mansion movie and the Tower of Terror movie. Well, to each their own.
I didn't even know they existed.
Oh yeah, the Haunted Mansion movie was like 2004 with Eddie Murphy. And then Steve Guttenberg, Police Academy's own, was the star of the Tower of Terror movie from, I want to say, 97. And like Kirsten Dunst played his daughter, Crazy times.
What year was that?
I think like 97.
Oh yeah, that sounds right. Okay.
Yeah. And it ended up basically being a huge ad for
Disneyland?
The ride, yeah. For the most part.
That's so weird. I didn't even know that this Jungle Cruise movie was based on the ride. I guess I should have assumed that, but...
Oh yeah, like in the trailer, he's like saying some of the same jokes that the skipper says on the ride. We're seeing the backside of water. Like they literally just took the lines from the ride and gave it to The Rock. And let me tell you, those jokes are not good. So, what makes the Jungle Cruise a fun ride is that it is campy and cheesy, but I don't know if I needed 2 hours of that. Actually, what is it? 2 hours and 20 minutes, which is what the Jungle Cruise movie is. But,
I thought you were saying that's what the ride was. I was like, damn, that's different.
No, the ride...
From what I remember.
The ride is like 5 minutes. But yeah, I don't know if I need 2 hours and 20 minutes of that. I don't know. Emily Blunt is cool. I like A Quiet Place.
I love Emily Blunt.
She looks a lot like Katy Perry. But as they get older, I think Emily Blunt looks better.
Than Katy Perry?
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen Katy Perry lately. Yeah. I love Katy Perry.
Except for her in that picture of Orlando Bloom.
Yeah. Bad choice there, Katy Perry. Come on.
Chucky 2021. Yeah, I did see the trailer for the new Chucky show. It is ignoring the reboot, which I think is good. This show also looks very campy and cheesy, but that's kind of what Child's Play / Chucky is. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited for that, but it will be dumb.
I didn't know there's a new Chucky movie coming out.
New Chucky TV show. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
But it's got, Brad Dourif, the original voice of Chucky, as the doll,
How do you do a horror? Has there ever been a horror show?
American Horror Story.
Is it scary?
But American Horror Story is not scary, in my opinion.
It's like...
But
Chucky's just like a bunch of jump scares.
They'll probably have the jump scares, but I'm assuming it will be very campy as well. They also tried to do that Scream show... But it didn't have Ghostface in it, which is literally the face of Scream, so it was dumb.
That's a horrible decision.
There was also the Scream Queen show, which was kind of fun and scary. I don't know. Horror TV shows don't usually work out. I know that American Horror Story is extremely popular, and I have seen there's a couple of seasons that are okay. But there's also a few seasons that are hot garbage. And I just started watching American Horror Stories. I don't know if you've heard about that. So basically, American Horror Story, it's like an anthology show, right? Every season is a different story. But now there's a new show also by Ryan Murphy, set in the same universe, called American Horror Stories, plural. Because every episode is a different story, not just the seasons. Okay. So it's kind of like they're kind of like just doing their own Twilight Zone, sort of, in that respect, And I guess you could say that Twilight Zone sometimes had horror elements in it, although it was mostly philosophical and sci-fi.
It was more terrifying to think to picture yourself in the situation of the characters. It wasn't hard. It wasn't like scary to watch.
My God, it's a cookbook.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah. I don't know. Unless anybody else has anything else, we could end the stream now, or I could talk about whatever you want. I don't even care. I don't know. It's late in the day. I'll talk about Stupid Mario Brothers. I don't care. Whatever you guys want to talk.
It's not late in the day. Is it late in the day?
I don't know. It's like 5:30.
It's almost 6. Okay.
It's almost drinking time.
That's pretty late for Rich. He goes to bed early.
That's not true.
That's what makes it funny.
I don't know. What do you want to do? Should we stream some Rocket League or?
I was gonna say, do we have to play some more? Gigi. I was on. I don't know why. Like, I don't know how. I was playing Payday 2 yesterday, and I got an invite, like a Microsoft Store Play Store invite from Gigi to play Sea of Thieves.
Whoa.
Yeah, because I added her. But I just thought that was funny. Like, I don't know if you're just always signed in to that when you're on Windows. She was able to invite me, and it like came up on my screen.
Interesting.
But anyway, she's trying to play some more, dude. So next time we do play, we'll have to get Gigi in.
All right.
I think she's probably a crowd favorite.
Sounds good. Let's see. I've run out of things to talk about, and we've been going for 45 minutes, so maybe that's it.
Okay.
I don't know. Unless you have anything to add, is there anything exciting going on?
Nope. I'm sitting here painting a 40K mini. Like I said, nobody cares about 40K.
Cool. I think we're done.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me on this exploration of fun pop culture. Join us probably tomorrow. I think we're going to play some Fall Guys tomorrow around the same time.
Nice.
So, yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.